I want to show you guys two clips today. Each one just gets better and better for Trump and his campaign. In the first video that I want to show you right here, the reporter's question in the clip is a little quiet, so just so you guys know what it is that she's asking is that Harris has criticized him of doing campaigning in Howell, Michigan, because apparently there's connections with the KKK there. It's a ridiculous question, but here's his response.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you for coming. Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
That was great. So before I show the other clip, I want to speak to this one. This is the kind of training I think Trump was lacking in his other first two campaigns. He was so coordinated, and it's almost that he knew that the leftist media were going to have a stupid question like this. He maybe saw the criticism from Harris, but obviously he was incredibly ready to actually respond to this. Trump's policies have always been spot on, but he hasn't always been kind of the best at just having those one-liner zingers. I think that he's kind of spoken a little bit more than he has to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And those short little zingers are really effective. And it's very clear, like I said before, that he's running a campaign that's just a little bit more disciplined than it has in the past, and it's paying off big time. When the BS media questions like this come up, he wasn't always ready to refute them. Again, he refuted them, but it took like 3 minutes to do it. He was ready to go. I have a feeling, and again, this is why I say he's more disciplined, that he's been trained. And again, I talked about this the other day. Tulsi Gabbard is meeting with him for debate prep. He's got a lot of people like Vivek Ramaswamy who are really expert debaters behind him. I think that he's listening to them. I don't know Trump personally, but he's pretty strong-headed. I have a feeling in the past he was a little bit more reluctant to listen to his advisors. I think he's doing that right now in his campaign, and I think it's paying off huge for him because the little one-liner zingers like that show not only how ridiculous Kamala Harris is, but it shows how ridiculous the mainstream media is, because clearly him being in Howlett, Michigan has nothing to do with the KKK. Michigan is a battleground state. Newsflash. He's doing campaigning there. Why are you asking dumb questions like that? Even worse, why is Kamala Harris talking about that when she could be talking about, I don't know, her policy, which she almost rarely does unless she's talking about her communist economic policies, which we've talked about on the show before. So anyway, it's great that he was able to answer it. It displays a real dichotomy between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. On one hand, he went back to the podium to answer that question. Like, he was done. It was called out to him. That's another indicator of that he was really prepared for, because he heard it and he's like, perfect, I have a great response to this. But on the one hand, so you have Donald Trump having press conference after press conference, going back to the podium to answer a question that was antagonistic towards him. At the same time, you have Kamala Harris, who runs from press conferences and won't even interview with the very magazines that put her face on the cover. I mean, Time magazine literally put this glowing figure of her on their magazine, and she wouldn't even meet with them. That's how in, the Democrats' pocket the media is. And as a lot of people have pointed out, the media really is running the Democrat Party. We kind of think of the media as subordinate to the Democrat Party. It's really the opposite. It is the other way around. I actually really believe that. But in any case, that's the dichotomy of this race. You've got Trump running towards the press conferences, answering questions while Kamala Harris is running away. It's working out for Trump, by the way. We're seeing a bump in the polls already, but I think we're going to keep seeing the bump in the polls following the DNC. I think that we're going to see a huge resurgence of support for Donald Trump. In addition to that, though, and this is the second clip that I want to show you guys, it's not the only good news for Trump. I talked in yesterday's show about how RFK Jr., there's rumors, and his running mate talked about how they might be dropping out to support Donald Trump. When Trump heard about this news, his reaction was really fantastic. It's really good news. Take a look at that reaction.
I'll ask you about RFK, because just moments ago, his running mate said that they were considering endorsing you. Have you considered him for a role in the administration, and what role would that be?
Well, we haven't, but I would love that endorsement because I've always liked him.
Would you also consider putting him in the administration?
You're asking me a very unusual question. I haven't been asked that question yet. I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I probably would if something like that would happen. He's a very different kind of a guy, very smart guy.
So this is a great response from Trump. It's great. as I said yesterday in my show, if you didn't watch it, I was a little nervous that Trump or some of his supporters would be like, we don't want RFK Jr. because that's not really part of our base. Guys, you want RFK Jr. As someone who disagrees with most of RFK Jr.'s policy stances, you want RFK Jr. He has 5% of the vote. I'm not saying all those people are going to go for Donald Trump. They most certainly won't. But if a majority do, that is the bump you need. You need to build coalitions to win elections. You absolutely want him if you're a Trump fan. This will have huge positive consequences for his campaign, and his willingness to have him will bring more RFK voters over, because not only will he accept RFK's endorsement, but what he's saying right there is he is, a little more willing to having him on his cabinet, which that's going to matter. That's going to matter for those people who are really bought in RFK and not at all bought into Donald Trump. If they hear that RFK is going to be Attorney General, for instance, they actually might vote for Donald Trump, knowing that RFK has kind of a more prominent role in Trump's cabinet. Alex Jones said on his show today, and there's been a couple other leaks, but this is kind of the biggest leak that I saw. He said that there was a leak that came out that an RFK staff member leaked to him that RFK would be dropping out on Friday. I believe RFK is speaking in Phoenix on Friday. I actually, coincidentally, maybe not so coincidentally, believe Donald Trump is speaking on Friday in Phoenix, and that at that he'll be supporting Trump as well. So there's talk that RFK was asked, he's going to ask Trump to be the Attorney General. Who knows if that's true or not? We can certainly look forward to it to see, on Friday if it happens. Again, I don't know how credible Alex Jones' show is, but he's got a lot of followers, so the leaks certainly could go that way, and he's not the only leak I've seen around that. I predicted this yesterday, I'll predict it again, it will net Trump 1% by the total vote, which is invaluable considering he lost to Joe Biden by a factor of just over 1%. And obviously Kamala Harris and Biden are far less popular than they were in 2020. So 1% could make all the difference in 2024, I think, from RFK Jr.'s perspective as well. So it's a great move for Donald Trump, no question. But from RFK Jr.'s perspective, if you're listening and you're an RFK Jr. supporter, which I know a lot of people who listen are, I actually think it's really great for RFK Jr. and the people who want to support him, because he knows he can't win the presidency at this point. You just can't win with 5%. And he's been open about the fact that he's not doing it. And by the way, another thing I'll add, it's not fully his fault. The Democrats have totally just screwed him from the very beginning and have been incredibly corrupt about the way that he's been able to run his campaign. It's just he hasn't been able to do it. He's not even going to be able to get on the ballot in most states. That's really the problem that RFK Jr. has. So I'm not dissing him. It's just he can't win. It's just the facts. But so he's not going to be able to win. But being Attorney General allows him to still be relevant and effectuate change from within. And, I talked about him being the head of the EPA. I don't think the head of the EPA hardly does anything. But Attorney General does stuff. And if he was able to negotiate that, I think that would be a really good mutual kind of beneficial relationship with Donald Trump and RFK Jr. Because on one hand, this is a good endorsement for Donald Trump, probably the best endorsement in the race, other than, I guess, Kamala Harris, if she dropped out and Donald Trump was the only one running. But it's also great for RFK Jr., again, because he's not just a nobody. The Attorney General does stuff, and so his supporters can vote for Donald Trump knowing that RFK Jr. will actually have, a place at the table other than just being some low-level cabinet member. Attorney General is a big deal. So if he loses, he gets nothing. It's a pretty logical move from both Trump and RFK Jr.'s perspective to have RFK Jr. get on board with Donald Trump. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please go down below, comment, like, and subscribe, and watch another video.